All right, y'all, peace and blessings. I got to redo this video because I said I wasn't going to do what I wanted to do. I just got a phone call. Somebody told me to, but I just redo it. I'm going to stay calm this time. It's just ignorance is beyond me. Ignorance and stupidity, there's no defense for ignorance and stupidity, people. None whatsoever. There is no defense, again, for ignorance and stupidity. So I redo this video and talk about what I said I was going to talk about. And I'm going to do it calmly this time. And that is the Georgia's implied consent law. And I got a couple things I'm going to read to you. O.C.G.A. 40-5-55 is the implied consent law for Georgia. The wording of the law, and I got all it in the comments, so I'm just, not in the comments, but in the body of this video. The implied consent law, according to the Georgia Supreme Court ruling that I read, and of course, you should always, before I get through that, you should always consult with a licensed lawyer to see. And I call them lawyers. Hey, that's what they do. They get paid to who can tell the best lie. Back on it again. So the implied consent law, the wording of the law is, my opinion, is why the Georgia Supreme Court ruled the way they ruled that the implied consent law was unconstitutional. Because the wording of the law is, it says, involved in an accident, incident, accident with injury or death, or serious injury with death. That's the law. So, my opinion, according to that ruling, then you can, like I said, consult with your licensed lawyer. But I've talked to several lawyers and they don't disagree with me. Well, they didn't really want to know how to say it because they didn't know if I was recording them or not. But, but the wording of it does not apply if you wasn't involved in an accident, or incident, or death, or injury, accident, or injury, or death. So the implied consent law doesn't apply because the fact is, if you get stopped for DUI and none of those, no accident, no injury, no death, then you, according to their ruling, then you have a right to refuse that test. And then the chemical test where they take your blood and stuff like that, then they cannot suspend your license. You can't send my license in for suspension if the law has ruled it unconstitutional. So if the U.S. Supreme Court ruled this, then why are the prosecutors, the solicitor generals, and all these people that handling traffic ticket cases, DUIs, why these people don't know this law? Could it be their ignorance? Or could it be part of their stupidity? Or both? Or could it be they're really not about justice, but just them? Again, they're not really about justice, but just them. You can, basically that is when you use the law to violate the law, that is a federal crime under U.S. Title 18, Section 242. Color of law violation. And to take someone's license and send them in with suspension, and being sent in with a suspension, and those people at the higher ups, at the DMVs, and that suspend your license, why are they not questioning this? That's because they believe in the lie. They believe that truth comes out of most officers' mouths, but it is proven that lies come out most of their officers' mouths, even when they got body cameras. Now, standard operating procedures, these body cameras are not supposed to be cut off. Why are they being cut off? Some of them got standard operating procedures that body cameras should be cut off, not cut off. So why are they not being cut off? But again, people, the implied consent law, the way it's worded, has been ruled by the Georgia Supreme Court to be unconstitutional. So if you just stop, a law enforcement police officer just stop you and give you a ticket, stop you for DUI and want you to take a chemical test, you can refuse that. They say you can't. If they refuse it, they read you the implied consent law and your license is sent in for suspension for 12 months. No. The Georgia Supreme Court said, no, sir. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Again, I've talked to several lawyers about this. No one is willing to disagree or agree with me, but it's clearly a violation. The Supreme Court has ruled it's unconstitutional. So, and that is in the body of this letter. I mean, the body of this video. So if it's unconstitutional, how in the hell are y'all enforcing it? You have a right, according to that, and you can check with your licensed attorney, because, you know, I'm not a lawyer, and find out if that law, if the Georgia Supreme Court ruling was correct, that you can't suspend. I have a right to refuse that. You can't suspend my license. If your license has been sent there for suspension for violating the Georgia implied consent law, then reach out to me and call me. I'll put you in the right direction how to fight that, or how to call the right people to file the complaint against that. They even taken a warrant out on that officer who sent that, because he took an oath to uphold the laws in the Constitution, a sworn oath, not you. And I keep telling people all the time, we got to have accountability. If we're not having accountability at a lower level, then we'll never get it at a higher level. Never. Again, people, Georgia Supreme Court ruled that the implied consent law is unconstitutional, because the wording of the law states that accident, injury, or death. If that didn't happen, you're just driving down the road and they stop you, then yes, by that law, by that ruling, you have a right to refuse that test. And they cannot, I repeat, cannot send your license in for suspension. But they're doing it and getting away with it because no one knows how to fight them. So my thing to tell you, file what they call a writ of mandamus. A writ of mandamus can be filed by any citizen. And a writ of mandamus is you can file it in federal court or state court. A writ of mandamus is to make sure your way of making sure public officials are doing the duties entrusted of them. And you do not have to be a licensed lawyer to file one. Anybody can file one. It's called a writ of mandamus. And it's to force the hands of public officials to do the duties entrusted of them. That is what a writ of mandamus is for. And any citizen can file one. So, with that said, the implied consent law has been ruled by Georgia Supreme Court, and it's in the body of this video, to be unconstitutional because the wording of it states that accident, injury, or death. If you're not in an accident or injury or involved in a death, in a traffic stop, and you got a DUI, just to stop, then you legally, lawfully have a right to refuse that test. And they cannot send your license in for a suspension. You cannot violate one law. You cannot use the law to violate the law, people. That is called a color of law violation under U.S. Title 18, Section 242. Now get it again. You cannot use the law to violate the law. That is a violation of U.S. Title 18, Section 242, color of law violation. Now, to address some of y'all concerns about why Bobby Worthy over here starting trouble. I don't know what trouble is. I ain't got no handcuffs on me. Trouble You call starting trouble holding government officials accountable for their actions? And you call that trouble? No. I call that your ignorance, your stupidity. Your brain is the size of a BB rolling down the 6-lane highway. Just let me know if you can see it. That is the greatest, dumbest shit you can ever say out your mouth. Really. So, the fire chief was over in Wayne County from Pierce County. And the people worry about the taxpayer dollars. Why is Bobby Worthy in Wayne County worried about Wayne County? Or why is he worried about Pierce County fire chief? Because Pierce County is where I live at, you ignorant. I started to say something, but I said I'm going to keep it clean. Pierce County is where I live at. Pierce County is my domicile. Pierce County is my voting district. Pierce County is where I pay my taxes. And I also pay, because I work in Wayne County, so I also pay Wayne County taxes when I buy gas, food, and all that stuff there. And what gives me a right to be in Wayne County, Justice, Valdosta, anywhere injustice is I'm a citizen of the United States of America. What gives me that right? Well, people say Bobby Worthy is an agitator. Wow. Washing machine works by an agitator. Without it, wouldn't be agitating. Wouldn't be cleaning your clothes. Jesus Christ was an agitator. But yet all y'all claim to praise him. But anyway, and back to these guys in the Department of Corrections. All this stuff talking about they're going to, one said, I wish I run into this guy in the streets. I'm always in the streets. Your wish is my command whenever you want. But believe me, I'll talk to anybody about anything. No problem with it at all. But if your ignorance is that stupidity and you always did some slick threats, I'm already be in combat mode. So believe me, when you feel that you can address the issue like you think you can, believe me, I'm going to stand my ground. And I promise you, you approach me in the wrong way, and if I feel threatened, I'm going to do what I must to lay your ass down. Believe that. And I ain't talking about, I'm talking about these hands. Believe that. But anyway, that's another thing. But, people, no matter where you pay taxes at, y'all missing the big point. This is because y'all are blinded by your ignorance of the truth, or you're blinded by your human nature of the truth, or both. Or you are truly a product of your ancestors. The bloodline is truly thick within you. And your true nature is being exposed by the words that come out your mouth. I don't mind people commenting. That's fine. But when you got there to talk about a fool, I'm an ignorance, you're tired of doing this. Listen, people, if you don't like what I post, but it's simple. One button on Facebook, block me. And for the others, stay the fuck off my page if you don't want to hear what I say. But I speak the truth. If you're not used to speaking the truth, hell, I guess I got to start calling myself the damn Black Donald Trump. Maybe y'all are like that. Sis. And it seems like y'all the only one agree that he can do whatever the hell he want to do. And y'all cool with that shit. But that's on y'all. But I'm here to tell y'all, people, they are misapplying the implied consent law of Georgia. The Supreme Court has ruled on it. Read what I wrote in this video, in the body of this video. Tell people the truth. That's all I'm doing. And I have a right as a Pierce County voting precinct, my voting district, Pierce County, where my domicile is Pierce County, where I stay at. I have a lawful right because he was over here in taxpayer dollars, a vehicle that paid by taxpayer dollars on personal use. And the law clearly says personal use. You cannot convert taxpayer dollars paid for that vehicle. You cannot convert taxpayer dollars into personal use. And most of y'all agree with this, that's in these corrections and working law enforcement or for the government, because you're doing the same shit and getting away with it. Just, I ain't caught you on video yet, but I will. Believe me. All right, y'all. Always consult with your licensed lawyer on this U.S. Supreme Court ruling that I put in the body of this letter, that the implied consent law does not apply in a routine DUI stop. In a routine traffic stop, or you stop me for DUI, I have a right to refuse those tests. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled it because the wording of the law says accident, injury, or death. If that did not happen, then the implied consent law, I have a right to refuse it. And that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but check out with your licensed lawyer. Peace. Remember, people, accountability is the key. For without accountability, we can never have an effective change. O.C.G.A 1-3-6 says that ignorance of the law excuses no one. Again, ignorance of the law excuses no one. That means if you did know, you should have known better. And if you didn't know, then you should have known. Law enforcement officers, EMTs, fire departments, corrections, and all these public officials misuse their authority. Excessive speeding, reckless endangerment, Georgia State Patrol, local law enforcement. So I'm going to tell you, if you want to get paid, if a law enforcement officer is not allowed to ride in the left lane, just like you are not. Let me get it again. There's no law that excuse them to ride in the left lane. The left lane is for passing. And the reason they like to ride in the left lane is because they can speed and nobody holds them accountable. What I want to see is one sheriff, one police chief, one state trooper, one judge, one prosecutor, one of y'all. Hold them accountable, or hold yourselves accountable for the actions of your law enforcement officers. They cannot speed, neither can you. That's all I'm talking about. It's accountability, people. If we are not holding our public officials at a lower standard, at a lower level to accountability, like speeding, reckless endangerment, running red lights, cutting unlawful use of emergency flashes. I seen that too. Go through emergency light, cut the lane flashes off just to get through the light. But there's no accountability whatsoever. So a criminal is going to steal till he get caught. So if we stop them at a lower level, and I mean them, not just law enforcement, I mean all public officials. If we stop them at a lower level, we will drastically depreciate it at a higher level, like killing one of us. Or somebody not making it home because of rogue law enforcement, seeming to think, shoot first, answer questions later. Peace.